He doesn't confront you. He makes your games collapse under their own weight. There's a type of man who doesn't yell when insulted. He doesn't post cryptic quotes online. He doesn't weaponize fake apologies. He doesn't match your sarcasm, your guilt trips, or your silent treatments. And that's precisely why he terrifies you. He doesn't ignore the tension, he neutralizes it. Not with emotion, with calculation. That man is the Sigma. While the world is stuck in a loop of emotional warfare, microaggressions, side eyes, backhanded compliments, Sigma males play a different game. Or more accurately, they don't play. They observe, adapt, and then flip the script so brutally that your passive aggression turns into his theater. He doesn't take your emotional games personally. He turns them into lessons. And the best part? He lets you write the script so he can perform the closing scene. Let's break down 10 ways the Sigma male takes every passive-aggressive attempt and turns it into performance art you'll never forget. 1. He responds with precision, not emotion. The Sigma doesn't flinch, he calculates. When someone tosses a passive-aggressive jab, most people instinctively react either with anger, sarcasm, or an equally toxic comeback. But not the Sigma. He hears your tone, feels the tension, but never gives you the chaos you're fishing for. He replies in the same cool tone. Only his words carry surgical precision. There's no yelling, no dramatics, just clarity. That's the thing about the Sigma. He doesn't aim to hurt you emotionally. He aims to expose your tactics. And nothing disarms a manipulator faster than someone who refuses to be pulled into the emotional mud. His calm isn't passivity, it's strategy. His control isn't coldness, it's discipline. You thought you were building the perfect trap with your passive digs, but all you did was show your hand. And now the Sigma's in the director's chair, turning your weak performance into his masterpiece. 2. He lets the silence do the talking. Not every battle is fought with words, some are won with stillness. Passive-aggressive people thrive on attention. They want a reaction, anything to confirm they've hit a nerve. But when the Sigma meets this energy, he doesn't bark back. He goes completely still. No words, no shift in expression, just unwavering presence. This silence isn't ignorance, it's intentional. It forces the passive aggressor to sit in the echo of their own words. And that echo gets louder the more it's ignored. Because silence is the one response they can't manipulate, can't twist, can't control. It's a mirror, and most people aren't ready to face themselves in it. The Sigma knows the moment he stays quiet, the power flips. Suddenly, the aggressor is the one exposed, nervously trying to justify themselves, backpedal, or explain their joke. But it's too late. He's already made it clear your tactics don't land here. In that silence, the game ends. Because silence, when used with purpose, speaks louder than rage. 3. He turns mockery into motivation. Insults are compliments from the insecure. When someone jabs at the Sigma with backhanded compliments or sarcastic critiques, they expect embarrassment or self-doubt. Instead, they get evolution. See, the Sigma doesn't crumble under judgment, he collects it, catalogs it, and turns it into fuel. You mock his quietness, he perfects his listening. You joke about his independence, he builds deeper solitude. You roll your eyes at his boundaries, he sharpens them. What others see as an opportunity to tear down, he sees as feedback, even if it comes wrapped in bitterness. He doesn't get bitter, he gets better. That's the terrifying part. You thought you were hurting him, but you were helping him. He won't retaliate, he won't post a clapback. But months later, when you see the version of him that turned your mockery into mastery, you'll realize your words didn't destroy him. They designed him. And no one wants to admit they helped build the man who left them behind. 4. He sees the game and refuses to play. The moment he recognizes your manipulation, it's already over. Passive aggression is a social game. It relies on one simple formula: deny accountability while inflicting damage. But when the Sigma sees his playbook in motion, he doesn't confront it, he exits it. This doesn't mean ghosting or dramatic shutdowns. It means neutral disengagement. He'll stop feeding the energy. He'll stop validating the jabs. And once he stops playing, your tactics fall flat. There's nothing more unnerving to a passive-aggressive person than someone who won't enter the arena. They escalate, trying harder to provoke. But the Sigma won't budge. Because once he sees you're operating from insecurity, he knows the outcome. And he's not interested in performing for someone else's ego loop. He doesn't lose the game. He just renders it irrelevant. And when you realize your manipulations have no power over him, you don't feel like the winner. You feel like the actor who forgot their lines in a play no one's watching. 5. He mirrors your energy without saying a word. You wanted a reaction, he gave you a reflection. The Sigma doesn't lash out. He doesn't explode. What he does is far more unsettling. He reflects. When someone throws subtle jabs or plays the guilt trip game, he responds not with resistance but with a mirror. You ignore him, he vanishes. You make snide remarks, he raises an eyebrow. You dodge responsibility, he doesn't remind you, he lets you choke on the aftermath. This mirroring forces people to face the very energy they put out. And the silence he returns isn't empty, it's loaded with awareness. Suddenly, the passive aggressor finds themselves over-explaining, nervously laughing, or trying to fix what they never expected to break. The Sigma doesn't give you drama. He gives you a reflection so clear, so sharp, it cuts through the mask you thought was impenetrable. That's not revenge. That's reality in its purest, most undiluted form. And most people can't handle their own energy coming back with no filter. 6. He delivers his boundaries like a bulletproof contract. Boundaries aren't requests, they're ultimatums in silence. Most people issue boundaries like warnings, soft, pliable, filled with wiggle room. But the Sigma? He treats his boundaries like non-negotiable terms of existence, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. When someone tries to cross the line with subtle disrespect or emotional bait, the Sigma doesn't raise his voice. He enforces his boundaries with surgical detachment. There are no arguments, no explanations, just a shift in energy that signals, you crossed the line and now you're out of range. That's what makes his boundaries terrifying. They don't need reinforcement. They are the reinforcement. You might not even realize you've been cut off until weeks later, when your texts go unanswered, your presence ignored. Passive aggression relies on blurred lines. But the Sigma draws his lines in concrete, and he doesn't repaint them to keep others comfortable. He doesn't shout about self-respect. He shows it in every exit. 7. He answers manipulation with mastery. While you scheme emotionally, he studies your patterns. Passive aggression thrives in confusion. Guilt-laced compliments, feigned forgetfulness, emotional sabotage, it's all noise meant to disorient. But the Sigma doesn't get lost in emotional fog. He watches, tracks, decodes. While you try to destabilize him with subtle jabs, he maps your tactics like a strategist planning a checkmate. He doesn't call you out because he doesn't need to. He lets you keep performing while he silently builds the exit plan. He turns your chaos into data. By the time you realize he saw through you, he's already a mile ahead mentally and emotionally disengaged. The power shift is invisible but absolute. You thought he was tolerating you. In reality, he was documenting your patterns. And when he walks away, you don't get closure. You get the echo of every ignored red flag. He doesn't expose you to others. He lets your own actions do that over time. 8. He outgrows you in real time. You throw shade, he plants trees. While passive-aggressive people spiral into cycles of petty resentment, the Sigma keeps growing, not out of spite, but because he knows forward motion is the ultimate middle finger. You throw bitterness, he builds a business. You get sarcastic, he gets sharper. Every indirect insult becomes fertilizer for his next level. He doesn't clap back. He levels up. That's what makes it sting. While others play emotional dodgeball, the Sigma is too focused on his mission to throw anything back. His revenge is simple. Becomes so elevated you can't reach him anymore. By the time you realize your passive-aggressive tactics didn't break him, he's already out of orbit, thriving, unavailable, unreadable. And that's when the weight of your own behavior hits. You tried to keep him down with indirect hostility. Instead, you handed him the pressure he needed to transform. 9. He doesn't compete. He completes himself. Your power play is his signal to disengage. Passive-aggressive behavior is a power game, an attempt to undermine without direct confrontation. But the Sigma doesn't compete for emotional dominance. He doesn't need to prove he's stronger, smarter, or more in control. Why? Because he already is internally. That internal confidence is unshakable. You can't bait it. You can't hijack it. When you try to assert control through sarcasm, silence, or guilt, he doesn't respond with resistance. He responds with indifference. He's not playing to win. He's not even playing. He's watching you exhaust yourself on a battlefield he left long ago. And the scariest part? You'll only realize he was never playing once he's gone. You mistook his silence for surrender, but it was a retreat into a world where your tactics hold no currency. 10. He walks away like he never looked back. Some exits are quiet, others are a masterpiece. The Sigma doesn't slam doors. He doesn't leave trails of drama. When he's done, he's gone mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And when a passive-aggressive person finally realizes he's gone, there's no grand finale to cling to, just absence, total and absolute. He leaves no space for rebuttal, no fuel for future manipulation. Just the void of a man who outgrew your tactics and refused to carry your energy into his future. That's the final act of performance art. He lets you feel the silence you created. You thought he was emotionally detached. What you missed was that he was paying attention deeply, and once he saw what you were made of, he walked away without blinking. No closure, no chaos, just a clean exit that speaks louder than any confrontation ever could. On a final note, he doesn't destroy you, he lets you watch yourself implode. The Sigma male doesn't fight fire with fire. He doesn't match toxicity with more toxicity. He simply lets people reveal who they are and then chooses not to engage. That's the part that haunts. You came with sarcasm, subtle digs, guilt tactics, and expected to see him crack. Instead, you saw him stand still while your emotional games fell apart under their own weight. That wasn't weakness. That was power at its purest form. Because the Sigma doesn't just win, he elevates, not to dominate, but to distance himself so far above the noise that by the time you look up, he's already gone. You won't get the last word. You won't get the last scene. He made your performance the stage. And then he walked off without applause, without announcement, into a reality you'll never be invited into again.